Night of the fight, you may feel a slight sting. That's pride. Pride. Pride only hurts. It never helps. You fight through the in the fifth, your ass goes down. Say it.
Fifth, my ass goes down.
Good luck.
What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my boxing brother, LeVar. What up, bro?
What's going on, man?
So,
Thanks.
unfortunately, last night we had the highly anticipated undisputed versus undisputed Jermell Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez, and we've got the article courtesy of ESPN.com, which says Canelo trounces Jermell Charlo to retain undisputed title. Canelo Alvarez pushed and pushed for the knockout that eluded him in his 3 previous fights, but it never materialized Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena. That was through no fault of his own. Alvarez floored Jermell Charlo in round 7 with an overhand right, the second knockdown of the challenger's career, but there weren't many more opportunities for the knockout in what ended up being a lopsided unanimous decision victory for Alvarez, who made the 3rd defense of his undisputed super middleweight championship. Charlo wasn't willing to engage and rarely threw a punch. He moved away from Alvarez's power shots all night, but never attempted to make him pay. 2 judges scored the fight 118 to 109, with the other tally 119 to 108. Now, I'm going to give my immediate reaction to this bullshit, okay? So, all right. In my honest opinion, that fight was rigged. Jermell Charlo was paid to put his name on Canelo Alvarez's resume. He was not paid to actually try to win that fight. For people listening who are thinking, oh, you're a Charlo man fan, that is not true. Because first of all, I have no problem with Canelo being the one to win that fight. I have no problem with Jermell Charlo taking a loss if, let's say, a fight actually occurred. That wasn't a fight.
Yeah.
That was not a fight. Not a fight worthy of a pay-per-view, not worthy of $85, because the fight comes on. All right, first of all, think back. Jermell didn't even show his face in the walk-in. My man looked like a Sith Lord from Star Wars. This man didn't show his face once. What does that tell you? Not 1 ounce of confidence walking into that ring. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez looked the complete fucking opposite than Jermell Charlo. Round 1 starts. And basically, what happened in round 1 is what happened in all other 11 fucking rounds. All Charlo did was use lateral movements, walk himself, onto the ropes and into the corner so that, Canelo could just tee off on him with combination punches. I didn't see not 1 ounce of power behind any of his shots. And not one. Nope. Not one. You think back to to Charlo's last 5 fights. And then you look at this fight last night. This is a completely different fighter. Completely different fighter. Now, I don't know if you know what Jermell Charlo's purse was for this fight, but let's say it's in the realm of between $5 and $10 million. I'm sure, probably, around there. Okay?
Yeah.
Which is most likely a career high payday. I'm assuming, okay? I don't know the specifics. Okay? But here's what I'm going to say, and I'm just going to get your reaction. A few weeks ago, I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about the highest paid athletes in America, or at least in the world, I should say. Canelo is number 5 or number 6, the highest paid athlete in the world. A list that consists of Messi, freaking, soccer player, Ronaldo, who's a soccer player, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and a couple other athletes that I don't even know. But he made, I think, like $114 million last year. Canelo is essentially the face of boxing, unfortunately, but that's just the facts. He's the face of boxing. Why? Because, 1, he has the entire country of Mexico behind him. Not one boxer in America has that type of widespread support that Canelo does. There is so much money invested in the business of Canelo, there is no way that they were going to hand over all of that cachet and stock to a fighter like Charlo. Not even because he's black, because I could pull the race card, but I'm not even going to do that. It's just because Charlo, you can't market Charlo the same way you can market Canelo. You see what I'm saying? Like, Charlo is not like a family-friendly, fan-friendly kind of fighter. He is not. Canelo is, though. And mind you, Canelo's learning to speak English. So things are only getting better for him. But all I'm saying is that was not a real fight. That did not look like an undisputed versus undisputed fight. That looked like Canelo Alvarez was in there with a freaking amateur. So when people say, Charlo was in survival mode. No, Charlo was not allowed to hurt Canelo. They told Charlo, you follow this script. You are not gonna, do any real damage to Canelo because we want him back in the ring in January. So you can't hurt him. That's one. Two, you're gonna take a knee in the 7th round. Think back to when Charlo took the knee. Was it because of a punch, or did Charlo just choose to take a knee? Did Charlo look hurt? Did Charlo look hurt at all?
Nope, he was not hurt.
Did he have a bruise in the post-fight press conference? Charlo freaking cried. The first loss Charlo ever took in his entire career was to Tony Harrison. What did he do? He cried because that fight meant that much to him. Needless to say, about undisputed versus undisputed, there was 10 times more at stake. He had so much. He was the fighter that had everything to gain and not that much to lose. This man put up no fight whatsoever. And then at the post-fight press conference, this man had a big-ass smile on his face and said, at least I didn't get knocked out. So what does that tell you? All of these guys connected. And again, for the people listening, I respect Canelo. I don't have any problem with Canelo being the better man, but at least let it be a better fight. And I'm going to quote Caleb Plant, because you know what he said? He was like, he was expecting it to be one of those fights where, like, it's a good fight until it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy who loses at least put up a fight. Like when Caleb Plant fought Canelo, at least he put up a fight. He might have lost, but I could say, hey, from rounds 1 through 5 or 6, he put up a fight until he gassed out. I can't say the same thing about Charlo. And Charlo's one of my favorite fighters. So, you know what I'm saying? Those are my immediate reactions. So what do you think about the fight, bro?
Well, first thing I want to say is, for all these Canelo fans out here talking about he's still #1 pound for pound, he ran through Jermell Charlo. Not only was the fight most likely fixed, right? But Canelo didn't even look great that night. A lot of people were talking about how Canelo was going to get this knockout against Jermell Charlo, about how his power was going to really show. Jermell didn't look hurt not one time in that fight, and people are going to talk about the knockdown, bro. Jermell took a knee. We all saw it. He hit Jermell with an overhand, right? And Jermell was kind of stumbling a bit. I don't even know if that was real or not, to be honest.
Real.
But we all saw him take a knee. Like, we all saw him take a straight up knee after that, after like a couple more punches. But with that being said, though, as far as my respect goes for Canelo, I got to say, I still can't respect a dude for beating someone who didn't come to win. Like, how can I respect a win like that? And also, it's not even like Canelo picked the hardest competition that he could. He literally went against Jermell Charlo.
A 150 freaking 4-pounder when he could have fought David Benavidez, Demetrius Andre, David Morrell. But he picked the guy who had to move up 2 weight classes. And then he's sitting there talking about, yes, I'm the best. I'm the best fighter in the world. Yes. Are you trying to tell us? Are you trying to convince me or yourself, Canelo? Let's be real. I will respect Canelo for being, a multimillionaire. I will respect that. And for being who he is. But for last night, I don't respect that. But continue.
Yeah, I can't respect that. I can't lie. Dude over here could have ran it back with Dimitri Bivol. Instead, he run to go fight a 40-year-old to put his confidence back up. I'm like, bro, Canelo, come on now.
Yeah.
But anyways, back on Jermell Charlo. And we all know that, well, not everybody watching the video, but I was posting on my story a lot, investing a lot into Jermell Charlo, talking about he was going to do this and that. And the last thing I expected is for him to just come and lay down on the fight. And I already knew in the past that, like, Canelo had some weird fights. He would have people just come in and not really doing much, not looking like they form themselves. And it was all just kind of weird. I was like, you know what? I think Jermell gonna come. I think he's gonna win this. I said the only 2 things that Jermell can't do if he wants to win the fight is if he's not active and he stays on the ropes, if he does those two things, then he's not gonna win the fight at all. Those are the exact two things that he did. I didn't see, like, after round one, I didn't really see him throw any punch with really any real intent. He let Canelo just try and walk him down, but he was moving laterally the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And he just stood on the ropes.
He was there to be a moving target, a moving heavyweight. That's what he was there to be.
And then it was so deliberate whenever he would just stand on the ropes too. It's not like Canelo pressured him into
down
the corner.
Yeah, it's not like he walked him. He just followed him. He just followed him. He just followed him. He didn't have to walk him down. He's like, you know what, Charlo, I'm gonna just follow you. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. You lead the dance. Like, and then what's even funnier is that Canelo, someone who people like to talk about as a very accurate puncher, I'm seeing him miss wide shots. In round one, he tried to throw this left hook. He almost fell off balance trying to throw that while Jermell was just moving laterally.
You know why?
Like, we already knew.
You know why he was putting so much behind those punches? Because he knew Jermell was only there to be hit. Jermell was not there to fight. And again, like, I love Pulp Fiction. And if you've ever seen the movie with John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Ving Rhames, basically, Bruce Willis's character is a boxer. And Ving Rhames is like this mob boss, kind of Al Heyman type of guy. And he has a meeting with Bruce Willis's character and tells him, yo, we got a lot of money in this fight, and you're too old. So basically in round 5, you're gonna fucking take a dive. That's what he told him straight up. And he was like, if you don't, we're gonna come after you if you don't. You see what I'm saying? And then when the fight happened, he actually didn't take a dive and he whipped the fighter's ass. But then he was on the run after that. Like, he had to skip town, all that shit. Art imitates life. If people don't think that boxing is fucking corrupt, you're stupid. Because even Erickson Lubin, that shit was a robbery because Ramos beat him. But then yet I see, I listen to the scorecards, freaking announcements and shit like that, and they say, by unanimous decision, Erickson Lubin. And I'm like, yo, bruh, Erickson Lubin fought that man like he was sparring. And you didn't even know the unanimous decision? And you know what? It sucks because, like, they sell these fights as if, like, this is going to be like the ultimate battle, the ultimate clash.
That's what I'm saying.
Of undisputed versus undisputed. And it was everything
I'm like, bro, what?
But that. It was everything but that. I could at least say, you know what? Terrence Crawford whooped Errol Spence's ass. And we could clearly see, in film studies and stuff like that, or if you watch the fight back, that Errol tried to do something with freaking, Terrence Crawford. It just didn't work. You know what I mean? But I can't say that Jermell tried to do anything. He didn't try to do anything.
He came in that thing to lose. And that's another thing. I give Errol Spence way more respect now than Jermell Charlo, because Errol Spence at least tried to go out in the shield. Jermell Charlo, he over here just trying to survive.
He's on the ropes.
Like, and then he's over here laughing at the press conference, and he had the nerves to say that he wanted to fight Terrence Crawford next, so that Terrence Crawford's on I'm like, bro, Terrence, if you fought the way that you fought, like, last night against Terrence Crawford, not only will he go to sleep, but, like, what's even the point of Terrence Crawford taking that match? I don't even know. If I was Terrence Crawford, I would just laugh at him.
Yeah, he did.
The only reason I would fight him is for his titles. That's literally it.
And you know what's crazy? I don't even think Derrick James even knew what was going on. So I think, like, the fact that he was told to take a dive was, like, on the extra hush-hush. Because you don't see Derrick James yelling a lot in the corner. Like, and he was yelling at him. I don't remember what he said, but he was yelling at him. Because he's, like, it's like, for a fact that Charlo is so much better than that. Everybody knows that. I was trying to tell my dad, who's, like, a boxing casual, and I was trying to tell him, it's like, that's like if you go and watch LeBron James or Michael Jordan back in the 90s, and all of a sudden you see him just taking bad shots, shooting air balls, freaking not playing any defense. You're going to be like, yo, we know who you really are. What is going on right now? Like, how much did they pay you to be playing like this? Because we know you're so much better than that. So it's like now when the next time that they tried to do, like, some big, undisputed or champion versus champion, whatever it is that they do in the future, it's like I'm going to have to come to expect to be unsatisfied, to walk away saying, man, you know what? Like, that wasn't even what you guys were marketing. Like, you guys wasted time doing, like, the all accesses we're better than this. Was better than that. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And again, like, I still like, Charlo, like, my respect for him as a person, as a fighter, hasn't changed, because again, he looking at it like, look, they're paying me 10 million plus, just to take an L, and I don't even really have to take any damage and shit like that. So that's why he's grinning from ear to ear. And what's funny, Now all of a sudden you see Jermall all up in the cut, giving his brother, you know what I'm saying, hugs and shit like that, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? I respect that.
That's what I'm saying.
But then I don't know if you remember, like between rounds, they cut to, you know, his brother, like, you know how like they show fighters in between rounds in the audience and stuff like that. And this is like round 5, round 6. Your brother is losing, and then you got this big ass smile on your face from ear to ear, freaking flexing the muscles and shit. I'm like, nigga, like, weren't you just going through like the hardest mental health battle in your life? And then now your brother is losing in arguably the biggest fight of his freaking career, and you got this big ass smile on your face. That's when I was like, yeah, I know.
To be honest, I think Jermell, I mean not Jermell, I think Jermall wanted Jermell to lose to be honest.
So he could fight. Yep. I mean, they've been already saying for months that Jermall is supposed to fight Canelo after this. You know why? Because they asked Canelo, they said, oh, so what do you think about Terrence Crawford? I know he'll be a lot smaller than you or some shit like that. And you know what he said? He was like, yes, I'm the best fighter in the world, and he's not in the plan. I'm like, of course he's not in the plan, because he fought 3 times this year or twice or some shit like that. However many times, you know, I think Terrence Crawford, he fought twice. So David Avanesian in February, and then, you know what I'm saying? So he doesn't fight active fighters. That's another thing. Canelo don't even fight active fighters. Okay, so if he does fight Jermall next, that's Jermall coming off of a 3-year freaking layoff, because he said he wants to come back Cinco de Mayo 2024. And who is he supposed to fight contractually? Jermall fucking Charlo. So that means you're fighting his older brother coming. Basically, these guys are just there to collect money. They're just there to collect money.
For real, because I don't see nothing different happening with Jermall.
Yeah, nothing different is going to happen.
Yeah, it looked like he wanted that to happen. It looked like he wasn't feeling no type of regret for his brother getting that money. He was like, hey, you getting that bread and I'm up next. But
it's about the dollars. It's about the dollars. And it's not, and people are like, Canelo's too strong, some shit. I'm like, first of all, it's not like Jermell was in there with Anthony Joshua. He wasn't in there with Usyk or Tyson Fury. He was in there with Canelo Alvarez, okay, who in real life,
little small,
he's not Hercules.
Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, he's 5'8" in real life. Okay, this is not like this super
with heels, he really 5'7". To be real.
Exactly. Yeah. If we're really being freaking technical. And then honestly, I'm not even gonna front. Jermell didn't even look like he was in good shape. I'm not even gonna lie. When I saw him at the weigh-in and then at fight night, I'm like, homie didn't even have abs. Real shit. The 6-pack wasn't.
I thought I was the only one, because I saw Canelo cut and I was like,
I was like, why Canelo looking all good coming into the ring, looking in shape, and then Jermell looked like he missed weight or some shit. Like he came in
like it really looked like he didn't take it seriously. And another thing that was weird is that they both came in at the same weight, quote unquote. I'm like, bro, what? Like what? And then Jermell talking about how you gonna put on some more weight after the fight.
Well, because he said that he came in last night at like 172, 173, and again he's 5'11". You know what I'm saying? So when you're 5'11", 172 is probably gonna look like 190 or some shit like that. Like that 180 type shit. Because he basically, I don't say he looked fat, but he looked like his body fat percentage was a lot higher than it would be from somebody who just made weight yesterday, coming off of
like it don't look like he naturally put on muscle, which is another thing. It alludes more to the fact that he probably just took the fight knowing what kind of was going to happen, so he didn't really train proper nutrition and putting on building muscle. He just put on body fat. He just went on
Jermell, right?
Bulk. Yeah. He just put on like a normal bulk.
Demetrius Andre talks about that a lot. Like, there's a certain way that you put on size. It's not just about, all right, let me just get more calories and then let me eat up to the weight. No, it's like if you really want to put on like natural weight that's gonna stay, like that comes over time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when you only put on like a half pound of body weight per week or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that lean bulk.
Yeah. And we're not talking about water weight or nothing. We're talking about like actual weight. You're only really gaining 1 pound a week. That's gonna stay. Maybe 2 tops, unless you got like a slow ass metabolism. But because Derrick James, he was saying, he was like, he wanted Jermell to come in the same weight that he normally comes in for 154 fights. So he was like, just because you're fighting in 168 does not mean that you have to fight at the weight of a 168 pounder. And then they asked Jermell that question in the post-fight, because I didn't even watch the whole thing. I couldn't even get through the whole thing. And
I didn't even watch it.
And then he was like, he basically kind of just like brushed off the fucking question. And again, like, we got to put ourselves in his shoes, because, all right, let me ask you something. Like, if you were given the so let's say if you're a professional boxer, all right, and you're just like Jermell, you're 31-1, you know what I'm saying, freaking 20-something knockouts or whatever, and then they basically tell you, look, I'm Al Heyman, and I say, LeVar, look, we're gonna give you this opportunity to make a $10 million purse against Canelo Alvarez. You're gonna get a share of the pay-per-view buys, on the back end and stuff like that. But you're not allowed to win. So you're gonna have to take a knee in the 7th round. You're gonna have to, move around the ring. Basically, you're there to make Canelo look good, and you're there to lose.
Yep.
Type shit. Would you take that offer?
I ain't gonna lie. If we talking about 10 million,
plus pay-per-view, so that doesn't even include pay-per-view. The pay-per-view buys.
So I'm definitely taking that. But the thing is also, I'm definitely not going to be in a press conference talking about how I'm coming to win like Jermell Charlo, because that boy, he wanted for that. He swore to God that none of Canelo other opponents came to win, but he is going to come to win.
Because,
I'm like, for what?
Because they had to sell the fight. They were fooling people. Like, that's what I'm saying. These business people, entrepreneurs and shit like that, at that level, it's chestnut checkers. So they're appealing to the emotions of boxing fans, particularly Jermell Charlo fans. So they wanted us to think like, oh, he's really going to go in there and then really put up the fight that we think he's going to put up. So they had to do it that way, because if he wasn't showing confidence, then maybe we wouldn't have been as invested as we were going into it. Because I was fake hype. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, yo, Dad, shit. Hey, like I said, if nothing else, even if you don't win, I said, Charlo is going to show the best of himself. That's what I thought.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought, at least. So I could walk away saying, well, shit, hey, I'm a proud Charlo fan. And then I walked away saying, hey, Charlo he was on the take. They cut the check. The price was just right. And then he's going to, go home, fuck his girl, and then raise his son, his newborn son, and then be a family man and stuff like that. So the fact that, you would even consider that just goes to show, the thought process of Jermell right now. You know what I mean?
Yep. And to be honest, like, not only that, but it's not even like when Jermell was in the fight and he was told to do this stuff. It's not like he, quote unquote, was looking bad in the ring, because not only was his speed and athleticism, like I talked about before the fight happened, way quicker than Canelo. Like, Canelo was just walking around the ring and he was just slowly gliding around the ring, moving, circling laterally. But then when he wanted to plant his feet, he did it so fast that Canelo couldn't really react as quickly. But the only thing is that Jermell wasn't jabbing when he was planting his feet down. He wasn't throwing any punches, combinations.
And Jermell, just like Spence, they're known for the jab. They're known for the jab. When we looked at the freaking, CompuBox numbers at the freaking end, you know how low his percentages were? For like, I think, first of all, he didn't throw a lot of jab. I think he landed like 13% of his jabs, and he didn't even throw that fucking much. If I even remember that, because I think it's either that or maybe somebody else. But either way, I'm pretty sure the CompuBox numbers were fucking low. And then think about it this way. When Jermell was training with Ronnie Shields, okay, he was moving around a lot. Like what he was doing last night, that's what he used to do. Because Jermell was known as a boxer years ago. Then when he started training with Derrick James, he was the guy that was planting his feet and became a puncher. All right. So now all of a sudden, when you're in the ring with Canelo, instead of being a power puncher, now you're a mover all of a sudden. I was like, yo, what is this? But there's no way you could tell me that that was a legitimate fight, period, bro. Period.
Literally. And it's like Jermell Charlo, he has that boxer puncher style, because when he went against Brian Castaño for the second time, the most recent fight he had before Canelo, he was literally moving around and then planting his feet quickly, throwing a hard left hook, moving around again. And he did it all before Castaño could really even throw a punch. Like, his speed and athleticism is like very close to Terrence Crawford's level, but he didn't want to discipline himself at all in that Canelo fight. And the thing is, when he showed just a little flash, like I guess you could say like a quick minute or two of him just throwing combinations, he landed so easily on Canelo. Like, you could see Canelo just going back, his head getting snapped back. He wasn't even countering. Canelo's supposed to be so good at his head movement, his counter punches. Bro, if you throw a real punch at Canelo, you go land most likely. Especially if he tries to throw a punch at you too when you counter him, because that was the most important thing that I kept saying that Jermell had to do. He had to counter these big punches that Canelo was going to throw, because Canelo never defends himself after he throws this big wide left hooks, and not only him landing the left hook, but you could see like when he missed the left hook, he was about to fall off balance. Jermell still not trying to counter. He over here running away. I'm like, bro, if I see somebody in front of my face that's about to fall from a left hook, I'm going with a counter. I'm not gonna let them get away. Like he let Canelo just get away with all these openings that he left. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, because
it just don't make sense.
Yeah, because he wasn't allowed to fight. I thought back to when Kell Brook moved up 2 weight classes to fight Triple G. That fight was more entertaining than this. That fight was way more entertaining than this, because at least you could say the fight was entertaining up until it wasn't. So, you know, Kell Brook went in there and then he tried a couple of things and then he looked good for a little while. Charlo never looked good. You know what I mean? And at least if I'm Al Heyman or whoever was the one that cut the check for Canelo, I would at least say, okay, you know what? Let's just make it entertaining for the fans. Let's give them a show at least,
for real.
And then let it be a good fight up until it's not. So I would at least say, okay, you know what? In the 12th round, Charlo, take a knee or spit out your mouthpiece, and then or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like give us a show. It wasn't a show. And I'm glad I didn't spend $85 of my money on that goddamn fight, because if I did, I would have to call the bank like, hey, like, you know, I want to dispute this transaction. I didn't purchase it. I would have had to dispute the transaction. I would have had to dispute it.
That's just crazy, man. To be honest, I'm not gonna say I lost respect for Jermell as a person, because I understand where you're coming from. But in terms of boxing, he shouldn't be like. And plus, I think he had some type of didn't somebody take his title? Or they trying to contend for his title at 154 besides Terrence Crawford? What's that one dude named that just not the dude that just lost? I think Tim Tszyu. Tim
Tszyu.
Yeah. So he got to worry about him. Terrence Crawford could be like he could let that fight just go. To be honest, if he didn't want to do nothing against Canelo, why does he want to go against Terrence Crawford? It just don't make sense. Like I understand that like. He might be able to show more flashes of himself in the Terrence Crawford fight, but it's like you're taking 2 dangerous fights in a row. And in this one, like Terrence Crawford not gonna come in there to mess around with you like Canelo. Like he gonna come in there to put the hurt on him.
Nah, and... you know why? Because and I'm quoting Anthony Joshua, if you remember when he fought Jermaine Franklin earlier this year. And in the press conference, he came out of his mouth and was just like, yo, straight up, I don't fight for legacy. I fight for money. I am a prize fighter.
Yep.
And that's been the mentality of a lot of fighters once they get to that level. So it's like now they don't want to fight the other guy. They don't want to risk the other because then the profits and the revenues are not going to be the same anymore. It's rare that you have a fighter that will still be making $1 million paydays and stuff like that after they take a loss in this era now. You know what I mean? And with Jermell, I mean, like, I don't even think he even benefited from this fight, to be honest with you. I don't think that his stock went up just because of the fact that he didn't.
Stock went down. If anything, a lot of people lost respect for him.
Yeah, because he didn't show anything. That's what I'm saying. Like no one will fault you for taking an L, but if you leave it all in the ring, that's all that matters. That is all that matters, is people want to see you try. That's like Sean Porter. How many L's has Sean Porter taken in his career? But every single one of those L's, he gave it his all for the most part. You know what I mean? For the most part, it's like he was giving Terrence Crawford, you know, a pretty good fight. He gave Errol Spence his toughest fight up until that point. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yo, like this fight, it's like, because I won't really know just how big this fight was until I guess they talk about like the views and like the viewership and the pay-per-view numbers. But if I just be embarrassed if I was Charlo. But again, like if you could be $15 million richer by just running around the ring against the face of boxing, most people would take it. So, you know, really that's just my thing.
I ain't gonna lie though, because I really was trying to say that earlier. I do see what Jermell coming from with the taking the $10 million. But to be honest, like if we think about everybody, I wouldn't say essentially in the world, but just the US, like in the US, I think the average cost for like life is like 3 million. Like the average cost is probably like around $3 million or something like that. And that's to live like a middle-class lifestyle. Bro, if you have 10 million or $15 million, which I'm pretty sure Jermell probably already have a couple.
Already had anyway.
Yeah. So him taking an extra 10 million to embarrass himself just because he want to live a luxurious lifestyle, I really don't even respect that, to be honest. I like, especially if you already got the money, you could already live a pretty good lifestyle, especially more than the average person. And you just
Right.
taking more money just because of greed. So I can't even respect that. Now that I think about it, I can't even really respect taking an extra 10 or 15 million just to get a new watch,
Or
a new
some shit,
expensive
yeah,
house.
yeah, just to
Like
flash it
what?
around to get a new car or something like that.
That's
Because
what I'm saying.
the thing is, really, if legacy was what he really cared about, then he shouldn't even have taken this fight. Because
For
that's
real.
the other option. So you make a good point. It's like, so if you're already rich, you're already a multimillionaire, and you're probably gonna make another few million, in the next couple of fights. It's like, why tarnish your legacy or at least damage your legacy? So it's like, all right. So first of all, so now we got Errol Spence that lost. Okay, then Jermall Charlo took a freaking loss by getting slapped by freaking Caleb Plant, and then he didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Then now we got this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not looking good for Texas right now. It's not looking good for Texas. It's not looking good for Texas, man. If I'm being honest with you.
I ain't gonna lie. Derrick James got a lot on this plate. Like what everybody besides Jermall Charlo and his camp and Frank Martin, I think, have a loss, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I mean, and remember we talked about, I think this was after the Terrence Crawford Spence fight. And remember I said that I don't even think it was a good idea for Derrick James to start training all of these fighters anyway, because I feel like
Yeah.
now it's starting to show, because
I
it's
think
not
he
like,
just doing like, well, I don't know if it's just him specifically, but I know that Ryan Garcia and Anthony Joshua are just doing it for publicity. Like they're not really learning nothing there, in my opinion, or they're not trying to. I don't think
well,
so.
I mean, I would say, I think they did it because of they wanted to get a taste of, or they wanted like that secret sauce that Errol Spence got. Like whatever respect that they had for Spence is exactly why they went and started training with Derrick James, because they wanted a bit of what Spence has. That's the same reason why Jermell even started training with Derrick James in the first place, is because first of all, he was looking at Errol. He was like, one, you're the only boxer that I know that has his own trainer 100% completely to himself. That's one. Most fighters, they don't have that. Most fighters, they have to share their trainers with other fighters. And the other fighters that Derrick James had, these are like, what's that guy's name? Burley Brooks, and then Robert Brandt. These are like very like relatively unknown fighters who are like 5-0.
Yeah.
So it's like Errol doesn't have to worry about not getting his time when he's the only champion in that stable. So then, all right, okay, so now you have Jermell that joined. Okay, fine. So then now he's dividing his time primarily between Jermell and Errol, and when they're not in camp, then he can focus on Burley, then Robert Brandt, and then whoever that other guy, is. But then now, okay, Frank Martin. Okay, so now you're juggling three. Okay, maybe I can make that work. Now you have Anthony Joshua, who fights primarily in the UK. Now you got Ryan Garcia, who I don't even think he's even fought yet. And then you still have three other fighters, small fighters that I was telling you about. And you're the only trainer. It's not like, again, he has, like, let's say you got Derrick James, who might have, let's say, like an assistant coach. He doesn't have an assistant coach. He does everything himself. So you're going to see now like the regression in their performances, because they're not getting as much time anymore. Even Jermell said that he trains with Juan Guzman all the time now, who's the Spanish guy you see him with. He's training with him, I would say, like 3/4 of the time. And then the other 25%, he's getting with Derrick James to work on strategy and a couple of things that they're actually going to do in the fight. So Derrick James is not really spending as much time around Errol and Jermell as he used to, which is not good. So your two best fighters are coming off of bad losses, the both of them.
Yep.
Rigged or not.
Terrible losses.
Yeah, but I mean, that's part of life. You're going to have, ups and downs. There's going to be a point where you're at the apex, and there's going to be a point where, you're at the bottom. But, at the end of the day, it's like, I hope Derrick can figure out a way as to where, like, he can train all of these guys, but everybody can still get adequate time. Because me personally, I don't know how he could do it, because I couldn't do it. If I was him, I would have stopped at Frank Martin. I would have been like, look, like if I got the call from Ryan Garcia, and again, he's doing it for money, because think about all the money that Derrick James is making right now.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say, I think Derrick James doing it for publicity and money, but I instead said, I think I said Ryan Garcia and Anthony Joshua, but I was about to say Derrick James. But with that being said, though, to be honest, Jermell Charlo, he didn't even really need training from Derrick James to beat Canelo. He just needed to do what he really did. Because if he would have fought the way that he did against Brian Castaño, he would have easily beat Canelo. All he literally had to do was just throw punches. Not only was Canelo not countering him, but like he was moving so fast that Canelo couldn't even plant his feet and throw a hard shot to begin with. So it's like he could have literally beat the dude on points. Not to mention that he literally countered Canelo a couple times. And I think he rocked Canelo and stunned him one time with a left hook off of a counter because
he probably
Canelo
didn't even mean to do that.
Himself.
He probably
he really didn't. I don't even think he did.
Yeah, he probably whispered sorry. He probably apologized to Canelo. Nobody probably
sorry, Canelo. I didn't mean to hurt you.
He was probably like, "Oh,
am I still gonna get my bag?" Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, so, but here's the thing too. I feel like, you know, again, at that level of entertainment, you know, let's say if he were to be like Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction and then win that fight when he wasn't supposed to, then we probably would have seen like a whole bunch of allegations about Jermell Charlo. They would have made him look crazy and they would have canceled him, I'm pretty sure. Or if not, they probably would have off this dude. Because again, if they have
that's how power and authority works.
Yeah. Because the way people talk about guys like Al Heyman and how Al Heyman's influence and like his whole entire career extends way past boxing. Like New Edition talked about how they thanked Al Heyman for pretty much helping them go on the biggest tour of their career, which was the Heartbreak Tour in 1988, 1989. Al Heyman was the one that promoted that tour for them or helped them, did whatever it is that he did. So this guy has been around since the 80s. You see what I'm saying? So when these guys are telling you, yeah, yo, we have X amount of dollars invested in this fight, you better take that dive. As much of a tough guy as Jermell is, he's not gonna try to play that type of game with them. So if they tell him this is what you're supposed to do, especially if you want to keep your career, you want to stay in the Lamborghinis, that nice house and all of that shit, you better do whatever it is that we're telling you to do. You know, so again, I'm mad. Of course, like I'm upset, but you know, at the end of the day, I can't really be mad at him because there's so much more than we actually see that's at play when it comes to entertainment, not even just boxing, just entertainment in general. You know,
exactly, because that's another thing. A lot of people in boxing, especially these wannabe purists, they always forget football too, basketball. They always forget that it's entertainment at the end of the day, and this stuff is like, while boxing, the punches are real most of the time in boxing, they forget that without the organization to begin with, these shows wouldn't be happening. Like there's a reason why they're put in the ring to do what they're doing. There's a reason why they can do that. It's because these people make money and they're able to set up these events. So if you mess with their money, then some weird things can happen. And I think a lot of people forget about that.
Yeah. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.